we can slowly start. So I'm very happy to welcome you for this new webinar of the ODYSSEE-MURE series of the Energy Efficiency Academy. Today we will do a deep dive into one of the French measures for the industry sector, the Industry Pact. And I'm happy to welcome with us 3 speakers from ADEME, the French Agency for Ecological Transition, Eleonore Desrayaud and Lucie Bioret, economist at the Strategic Planning and Research Department, and Edouard Fourdrin, who is in charge of the French Industry Pact program. Before we go to France, just updates about the webinar and the ODYSSEE-MURE project, so a few reminders. So your cameras and mics are off. However, you can ask questions and make comments anytime during the webinar. For the questions, I really encourage you to use the Q&A panel because that makes it possible for other participants to vote for the questions they are the most interested in, and also it makes it possible to track the questions, and speakers may also answer you directly in the Q&A panel. For the info on the webinars, you can find on the website all the webinar series with the links to the proceedings and also the registration link to the next webinars. And you will get the links in the chat. Also to stay tuned with ODYSSEE-MURE, not only about the webinar, but about publications and other information. I strongly encourage you to subscribe to the ODYSSEE-MURE newsletter, if not done already, and to follow us on LinkedIn for day-to-day updates. In addition to the webinar, I'm also pleased to inform you that there is one new publication. It was done yesterday, a new policy brief that is also related to energy efficiency in industry. That was done by the Caltech University, who looked at indicators to monitor energy performance in industry and discussing the limit of using aggregate energy intensity and looking at practical examples when they look at more detailed data to explain variations across countries within same subsector, and that make the links that highlight also the interest to complement top-down statistics with micro-level data and notably energy audit data, which makes a nice link with the next webinar that we will have at the end of May, and that will deal with this exact topic of using energy audit data to improve policies and investment in industry. So if you're interested in this topic, you should see soon in the chat the registration link for this webinar, and I really encourage you to join us as well next month. About other upcoming events, you may remember that ODYSSEE-MURE will be present at the EEACademy summer study early June, also in France, not so far from Paris. You can find more details on the EEACademy website, and ODYSSEE-MURE will also be part of a policy session at the EU Sustainable Energy Week in Brussels the week after EEACademy. And this session now is set on Wednesday, 10th of June. That's possible to join on site in Brussels, but also to attend online. That's it for the ODYSSEE-MURE update. And now I'm happy to go to France and to learn more about the French Industry Pact. First, I think with Eleonore, and then Lucie and Edouard. Eleonore, the floor is yours.
So, do you see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
It's perfect. Okay, thank you. So thank you everyone for being here. So the presentation will last, I hope, 30 minutes, and we will take the questions at the end of the presentation. So we are going to present the Industry Pact, which is a French program that promotes the decarbonization of the French industry. And we will also ponder on what extent it is a key lever of the industrial energetic transition. So first, let's have a quick overview on the French industrial sector throughout the past years to have a better understanding of the main challenge of the industrial energetic transition. So we will start with key figures. So first, industry sector stands for almost 10% of the French GDP, so it's approximately 3,000 billion euros. So the sectors also represent 2.8 million jobs in France. And among the main sectors, we have chemicals, food and beverage, transport, and iron. So as evidenced by the first graph, the industry value-added share of the GDP has decreased throughout the past 20 years from 2000 to 2024. So from 14% to less than 10%. So such decrease is mainly due to the expansion of the services sector, relocation, of course, and also the rise of energy costs, among other things. So the French industry is also facing a major stake, which is the decarbonisation targets. Hence, France committed to reduce its GHG emission by 35% between 2015 and 2030 for its industrial sector. So in other words, the Industry Pact turns out to be a lever for such targets. So as we are part of the ODYSSEE-MURE project, let's briefly ponder on key indicators of the French industry. So first we have the energy efficiency, so which has improved by 1% per year over the last decade. So in consequence, on the same period, its energy consumption decreased by 2% per year, thanks to energy efficiency improvements device enforced within the industrial sector. So concerning CO2 emission, we have a decrease by almost 9% between 2022 and 2023. So almost also mainly due to energy efficiency devices. And overall industrial output is back to pre-COVID level. So the growth is mainly due to chemical industry, while we have some other sectors which were struggling, such as primary metals one. So here is an excerpt of the French country profile that you can find on the ODYSSEE-MURE website. So it set the stress on the industrial energy consumption. So the most energy intensive sectors are chemicals, non-metallic minerals, paper, and non-ferrous metals and steel. So since 2010, the final energy consumption decreased by 3.8 million tons of oil equivalent. So it's mainly due to energy savings, of course, structural changes in energy intensive branches, and also a drop of industrial activity, mainly due to, as I said before, relocation and also COVID. So now I'm going to let my colleague Lucie talk about national industry policy framework.
Yes. So now let's dive into the policy framework. So what do policies on energy transition look like in France? So there are like different types implemented. The main ones being financial incentives. So you can find the ADEME supported heat fund, Fonds Chaleur, and the Decarb-IND, which are like two subsidy programs with call for projects where industrials can, submit projects. The heat fund is more targeting low carbon heating solutions, and the Decarb-IND project is rather has a broader approach, like targeting energy efficiency, low carbon solutions, and others. The projects are all like expertly reviewed by people in agencies such as ADEME. So the heat fund budget has increased in the past years, reaching 800 million in 2024. And the Decarb-IND program has been complemented by another program targeting like smaller industries and more dispersed industry, which are maybe more in line with the Pact Industry program. On the regulatory front, we have like the classics, the energy audits, and also the GHG audits, which apply to companies depending on their size. And finally, another key tool is the market-based tools. So of course the EU ETS, which applies to a decent chunk of heavy industries in France. But here we are specifically going to talk about the energy saving certificates, because the Pact Industry is directly funded through the energy saving certificates. So let's just talk about this one specifically. So the energy saving certificate is the only reported scheme for the energy efficiency directive. So it's a big one for France. So it works with like 5-year periods where a certain amount of savings saving is aimed at. So for the last period, it was 3,100 terawatt hour of energy savings, which are delivered by obligated parties, which are energy suppliers and retailers. So companies such as Total and EDF. Companies can, achieve savings and earn certificates by doing energy saving actions. So part of it is standardized actions, and among those, 16% were standardized action for the industrial sectors. So it's mainly, efficient heating and high performance industrial equipment. And another part of the scheme is to fund programs such as the Pact Industry, which we are going to talk about in just a few seconds now. So in 2023, there were like 47 programs, so a large amount for like a 2 billion budget. And the accounting of savings for those programs is a bit tricky, because they do not necessarily deliver directly savings in the same sense that they directly trigger energy efficiency actions, but they encourage those actions. The program, the energy saving certificate scheme, is going to continue for another period. We are entering the 6th period with a larger target, energy saving target, and more stringent rules regarding energy efficiency operations, and also the type of programs that can be funded through the scheme. And now I think Edouard is going to talk about Pact Industry.
Okay, thank you, Lucie, and thank you, Eleonore. So I will present the Industry Pact, which is a program to support all companies, but mainly small and medium companies in their energy transition and decarbonization approach, thanks to the energy saving certificates schemes. So we started this program in 2023. At this period of time, we had different initiatives. We had some innovative support methodologies to help companies in their decarbonization approach. For example, we had the ACT initiative, ACT step by step to help companies to build and to elaborate a decarbonization strategy with an associated transition plan. And we had also ACT assessment, for example, in order to assess the alignment of the company strategy with the Paris Agreement. We had also an experimentation in order for companies to work on their multi-site investment roadmaps, to identify also different solutions and opportunities in order to decarbonize their energy mix. So we had some different initiatives to help them in their decarbonization process. We had also different programs like ProRefei, which is a program in order to train energy reference in industry. We had also Invest, another program, another training program in order to train industry finance managers in the financing of energy efficiency. And we had also a bonus for companies who wanted to certify their energy management system. So we had this galaxy, this ecosystem of initiatives, and in 2023, we wanted to gather all these initiatives into one program and to amplify them thanks to the program, so Industry Pact, or Pact Industry in French. And it's a program that offers a solution which is tailored to the maturity level of each industrial company. It was also a program that needed to respect the new energy saving certificates program scheme at this time of period. So what is Industry Pact? As you understood, it's the support program for all companies, but mainly small and medium companies. And the objective is to support them in their energy transition and decarbonization approach, thanks to two things. The first one is capacity building. So we have a lot of trainings programs for the companies. And the second one is to propose some technical studies and coachings in order to help them to structure their approach in energy transition and decarbonization. The objective is to train more than 2,600 people and to complete more than 1,500 studies during the program. And so as this program gathers different initiatives, the idea is to cover a large scope of topics. And so in terms of decarbonization and energy, we wanted to cover 3 topics. So energy management, in order to structure and organize energy savings and energy management practices. The second topic is about strategy, so to build some trajectories and investment roadmap for companies. And the third topic is about how to finance a project and how to structure the financing plan for the future investments of for the companies. So it's a program that help companies to build capacities and to structure the approach before an investment, before investing in low carbon transition. So if we consider all these objectives, at the end of the program to save 1.2 terawatt-hour per year for companies, thanks to trainings and to studies, and to avoid around 196 kilotons of CO2 equivalents per year. So that's the objective of the program. And now at the end of the year 2025, so approximately at the middle of the program, we were able to achieve some results. For example, for trainings, we achieved around 30% of the objectives regarding the different trainings for strategy, finance and energy management, and 100% for the prescriptors like consultants, etc. And for the studies, we were able to achieve between 30% and 100% of the objectives, depending on the studies and the topics of the studies. On average, we achieved around 42% of the objectives of the program. So we have quite good results for this program in terms of company engagement in training programs and in studies, but that's not enough. So we need to complete and to go further in order to engage more companies on this topic, more industrial companies on this topic about energy transition and decarbonization. But we have good momentum. For example, if we consider the energy topic, we increase by factor 2 the number of studies between 2024 and 2025. So we have quite good momentum for the moment. If we consider now some example feedback from beneficiaries, two feedbacks that I wanted to share with you today. The first one is about a laundry, Wartner Laundry, which is specialized in laundry services for luxury hotel with 160 employees. And in terms of energy efficiency and decarbonization actions, they reduced unnecessary electricity consumption thanks to an improvement of the monitoring of the equipment. They optimized water heating and waste heat recovery, and they also plan for the complete phase out of gas for their activities, which is a strategic step towards carbon neutrality. And so thanks to these actions, they were able to reduce by 50% the energy consumption of per kilogram of laundry processed. So it was before 1.2 kilowatt-hour. It's now 0.6 kilowatt-hour per kilogram of laundry processed. And in order to give a perspective, they now they are exploring the possibility of ultra-high temperature heat pumps that were identified in the energy study, which is a study to identify good actions to do. And so they will explore the possibility of implementing this kind of technologies in order to reduce more energy consumption and to decarbonize more their energy mix. Another example is from Sicoli, which is a fruit processing company with quite energy-intensive production processes. And so in terms of energy efficiency and decarbonization actions, so they worked on electrification of production processes. They work on also the refrigeration of a production system. They work on the implementation of an energy supervision system, and they also work on the development of renewable energy sources. So that were kind of solutions they identify. So thanks to the Industry Pact, they were able to build autonomy thanks to trainings and expertise thanks to studies in leading decarbonization and energy management actions. And thanks to that, they will be able to achieve their targets, their objectives, which are a reduction of 40% of CO2 emission and a reduction of 30% of energy consumption by 2030. So thanks to the program, they identify some good technologies, relevant technologies, they build capacity, and they will be able to achieve those targets. So now, in terms of perspectives for the program, so the program will end in 2028. So it's important to continue the deployment of the program in order to support as many industrial companies as possible. It's key. It's important if we want to achieve our objective in terms of GHG reduction in the industrial sector that was presented by Eleonore. We need to engage a lot of companies, energy-intensive companies, but also small and medium companies. So it's important to engage all the industrial sector. So we need to continue the deployment. We need to focus also on less mature companies in terms of energy transition and decarbonization. It's also important to help less mature companies to build capacity and to do studies and to help them to identify the good solution, the good technology in terms of decarbonization and energy transition. So it's important to support this kind of company. And so for the future of the program, we have also key challenges. The first one is to continue and to sustain the engagement of company, knowing the fact that this involvement may depend on external factors, for example, energy prices, the place of decarbonization on the national agenda, some geopolitical context that may affect the involvement of company in a good way or in a different way. So it's important to continue the engagement of company, even if we have some external factors. And the second challenge is to secure long-term funding for this kind of support program. The program will end in 2028. So we need now to identify new and sustainable funding mechanisms to ensure the program continuity and provide long-term visibility to industrial companies engaged in their decarbonization journey. So now this program is funded by the energy saving certificates. Maybe it will be in the future, I don't know yet, but we need to identify some fundings for this kind of program and this kind of initiatives. Now I will leave the microphone to Lucie or Eleonore.
So thanks, Edouard, for this presentation. So now I'm going to draw kind of parallel with the LIEN program, so the Irish program. So I am also, of course, speaking under our Irish colleagues' scrutiny, and they maybe will share the experience or answer a question later in the presentation for throughout the question time. So although there are a lot of similar programs among ODYSSEE-MURE member states, we decided to focus specifically on such program for two main reasons. So the first reason is the longevity of the program. So it has been enforced since 1895, so 30 years. So we assume that there is a lot of experience to share. And the second reason is the training component, so which is really similar to the Industry Pact and which is really important to us. So the Large Industry Energy Network Program is a national voluntary device for large industrial energy users operated by our Irish colleague and by the Energy Authority. It was funded, as I said, in 1995, and there is three main components as are similar, which are kind of similar to our Industry Pact. So the first component is the energy management framework, so which consists in energy savings and reporting by sectors. So the second is like knowledge and peer learning. So basically it's the training components. So the SEAI is providing companies with energy advisor, working groups, and also training programs such as workshop, briefing, etc. The last component is the decarbonization and strategic alignment. So it's like alignment for the most ambitious company with the climate change politics targets, so set at the European or national scale. So just quick figures. So we have like there is 210 members company which are part and parcels of the program. There is like 434 kilotons of CO2 avoided in 2023, according to the national reports, and 280 gigawatt of energy savings in 2024. So for further comment, I will let my Irish colleague answer a question in a few minutes. So now let's move to a few words of conclusions. So first, we started from the premise that the French industry sector is still absorbing energy shock of COVID and the 2022 crisis. So energy consumption and competitivity remains a main issue in the industrial sector. So in parallel, industrial GHG emissions have significantly decreased since 1980, so by 55%. Such progress is mainly driven by energy efficiency, so renewables, battery, demand management. So thus, white certificates mechanism mobilizes significant financing for industrial energy efficiency actions. So the forthcoming period of the program encourage a deeper focus on the industrial education and low carbon hit. The Industry Pact, mainly financed by these white certificates, turns out to be a structured tools for decarbonization and focusing on SMEs, which is quite unique. And it is offering industrials energy management solution, decarbonization strategy, and also project financing. So thanks everyone for listening to us. So let's move quickly to the question. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thanks a lot, Eleonore, Lucie, and Edouard. For me, it's a very interesting program in many ways. We will come back to that during the Q&A. To start, there is one question that is more related to the white certificate scheme. You let me know if you want me to answer it or if you want to answer it. That's to know how the white certificates are issued, I guess, more specifically for industry, and whether an energy audit is required and how the compliance and conformity requirements are checked. I don't know if one of you wants to answer that.
Maybe
sure, I can jump on that for the industry part. So basically, in order to receive certificates, you need to either show that you have achieved a certain energy efficiency actions. So there is a list of standardized actions that are defined throughout the scheme, that have been defined throughout the scheme's life already. You get certificates when you achieve those savings by doing the energy efficiency action. So in the industrial sector, it's oftentimes related to low carbon heating and energy efficiency related to heating processes. Otherwise, you can also do specific energy efficiency actions which are not part of the standardized list, and oftentimes are like more complex. But for this, you need to basically submit a project to the official entity in charge of energy saving certificates. You need to submit a project that is going to be reviewed, and there's going to be a lot of conformity checks and analysis of like whether or not the energy efficiency project that's submitted is going to achieve the amount of savings required or asked for by the company.
And just to complete this answer, thanks, Lucie. Of course, there are energy savings related to investment in energy efficiency, for example. And I presented an example of a program, Industry Pact. In the program, in the white certificate program, it's not directly energy saving. We help companies to identify future energy savings thanks to training, thanks to studies to identify decarbonisation technologies. So it helps companies to identify future energy savings. So that's why this kind of program is funded by white certificates, because it helps companies for that. And after, as Lucie said, the real direct energy savings are funded by white certificates when the company wants to invest.
Thanks for the clarification. I think that makes a very nice link with another question I would have, because I guess the rationale for this program is that without a specific support, the SMEs will not benefit from the white certificate schemes as much as larger companies that have, let's say, more capacity, more in-house capacity, more maybe they have dedicated energy teams, energy managers that can identify possibility. So I assume what you just mentioned is exactly that some accompanying measures are required for specific target groups.
Yes, it's important to support small and medium companies. As I said, if we want to achieve our objective in terms of GHG reduction in the industry sector in France, we need to engage all kind of companies. If we consider small and medium companies, it's about, in France, 33% of GHG emission in the industry sector. So we need to engage with this kind of companies, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes these kind of companies are less mature on this topic because energy is not a main topic of in their activity, but it's not. It's quite significant. So we need to support this kind of company, and that's why this kind of program is important, to help them to build capacity and to lead some studies in order to identify technologies, in order to identify some levers of financing, to identify also a low carbon trajectory. So yes, it's important to help and to engage with small and medium companies with this kind of program.
And we know also that for SMEs, time is a very scarce resource. So how does it work? Most of the companies benefiting from the pact industry, they directly apply for the program, or you have some specific activities to go to them to reach them directly?
Both. We do a lot of communication in order to engage this kind of companies. We have a lot of webinars in France. We had a lot of events also where Industry Pact is present in order to communicate on this program, on this initiative. And of course, we have some companies that wants also to be involved and that come to us. What I forgot to say is the fact that as you understood, it's an offer in terms of training and studies, but also this program allows subsidies for companies. And for example, these subsidies can go to up to 80% regarding the training cost or the study cost. So it's also an incentive for companies to do the trainings, to do the studies in order to prepare their decarbonization. So it's it's an incentive for them. So it's interesting for the companies.
Thanks a lot, Edouard, and I'm happy to see that our Irish colleague, Damnate Gleeson from SEAI, the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, is raising her hand, and I'm pleased to invite you to join the discussion. You're also the program manager of the Large Industry Energy Network, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe you want to react on that as well.
And thank you so much for inviting us along today. It's really interesting to hear about another example of an industry network. As you say, our own has been in existence for 30 years. So yeah, I guess we've tried a lot of things, and some have worked better than others. And I'm obviously here to represent that area of our work, which is the Large Industry Energy Network, which is a little different to the French example in that it's very much targeting large energy users. And of course, I think communication strategies need to be tailored to audiences, and within our Large Industry Network, we're engaging 200 odd companies. But within the SME sector, there are just the scale and the number of companies to engage is so much greater. So I have colleagues in another team that engage directly with SMEs, and the approach that's taken there, which is what I wanted to mention, is that we have an online energy academy, which facilitates a huge amount of capacity building via online learning. And the other element, I think, that's particularly relevant to SMEs is simply that due to a lack of time and dedicated staff members in the space of sustainability, decarbonisation, energy efficiency, the ease of application for grant supports is something that's really, really important. So at SEAI, we've launched a new scheme called Business Energy Upgrades, where it's an incredibly simple application process. So I think previously, and we would have larger grant schemes that are more focused on kind of complex industrial environments that require deep dives and lots of kind of engagement through the process of applying for grants. But the Business Energy Upgrade Scheme was tailored to a group of people who would be kind of time poor, information poor, very much focused on just making those smaller scale grants available as soon as possible. So I'd encourage people to have a look at that example as well. My colleague has shared a link to that scheme. Thanks.
You can find the link to LIEN and also business energy upgrades in the chat. You can also find, if you go in the Q&A panel, a few links about the specific operation that Lucie explained earlier. So I encourage you to have a look. Do you see? I remember from past experience on my side in other countries, and also thinking about the networks of energy companies that have been developed, for example, in Germany, in Switzerland, and so on. Do you see an interest of grouping the companies per type of activity better, or let's say per branch or sub-branch, or better to group them per area? And maybe that's a question to both sides, Ireland and France. But I see maybe
I
Damnate,
think
you want to start.
we have tried both approaches. I mean, the kind of the three basic pillars that the presenters, described earlier, the energy management, the decarbonisation strategy, the funding. In many cases, they're cross-cutting, and there are kind of, I suppose, opportunities to deliver that across the network. I think, we've found that building our activities and training and guidance around energy standards has been enormously useful. The network itself, the part of the membership eligibility for the network is to be certified to ISO 50001 or trying to become certified to ISO 50001. For decarbonisation strategy, we've embedded a standard that was just released a couple of weeks ago. We've been working for some time with the people who are developing the standard ISO 50100, which focuses on decarbonisation of organisation and focuses on setting targets and articulating actually new to those emissions reduction targets. Around funding, we have an Irish standard IS 399 that sort of establishes a roadmap to exploring energy efficient design, such that companies can actually make sure that they're utilizing, the energy within their own sites as effectively as possible, and then determining exactly, what the best avenue is towards the decarbonisation projects that they're implementing. And those three areas work across the board for all the members of the network. We do establish special working groups, sometimes within sectors. We've done it for, pharma. We had a subset of data centres. We've looked at food and drink before. But we also just have special working groups on, technology areas. Most recently, we would have established a new special working group looking at electrification of heat. We also have an energy data management subgroup. So it really depends on where the interests of the particular companies lie, and there is kind of merit in both approaches. Yeah.
Just
thanks for this overview. Yes, Edouard.
Yeah, to react on that, I think energy transition and decarbonisation needs to be considered at individual level, at the level of the company, because an industrial company has a specific process, has a specific localization, geographic localization, etc. So a lot of specificities, and for me, I think the decarbonisation answer, the energy transition answer, is at the company level. But it's also to work on collective approach. For example, in France, thanks to this program, we develop also collective approach. So, for example, we have a collective approach with 10, 15, or 20 companies that works collectively in their decarbonisation. So they have some studies, individual answer, but during 4, 5, or 6 events, they share practices, they share good practices or difficulties, questions they can have on energy. And so it's kind of emulation for them, and it's important to discuss with other companies in terms of decarbonisation. So I think we need to work on individual level, but also it could be done with the others and in a collective approach. And another answer also, it's important to also have pathway at sectoral level. For example, in France, we develop sectoral transition pathway for high energy intensive in France. And it's with this work, we have some pathways in terms of decarbonization. We have some technologies the sector can mobilize, can select in order to decarbonize. So it's also a good example of things we can do. But the energy savings, energy transition, and decarbonization is, of course, at the end, an individual answer for a company.
I fully agree with combining individual and collective approaches, and I think that's what we see also in most of the schemes, and that I think what Damnate explained earlier is also a good example of that. I will come back to one of the last points you mentioned, Edouard, in your presentation about the future challenges, and in a sense, we see that for many energy efficiency programs, not only for industry, but let's say for most of them, that's the issue of funding and how to secure funding over time, how to give visibility. In a sense, a scheme like the White Certificate scheme can be a way to overcome that, because then you disconnect a bit the funding from the vote of the state budget, as it's funded through the obligated parties, so in other words, from the energy bills, which might have other consequences. I'm curious to hear if in Ireland you have also a similar discussion, and whether, let's say, when you are at a time where energy prices are going up, you get more support and maybe more funding for your programs for industry, or maybe not.
I mean, I think, yeah, the you know, the kind of geopolitical turmoil of you know, recent times has certainly brought increased focus on the supports that can be made available, both to kind of households and you know, commuters and businesses particularly. So there can be, I suppose, opportunities to increase funding during those types of periods, but also there can be an increased level of interest in looking for opportunities within energy efficiency and decarbonisation. I mean, I think businesses are you know, are very concerned at the increasing costs and you know, supply chain issues and fuel security, and I think, you know, policymakers and people in public agencies such as ourselves are trying to inform business owners, companies of the opportunities that are out there, both in the short term, to manage their energy more effectively and more efficiently, and in, you know, switching the sources of the energy that they use in order to become, you know, more resilient and more competitive into the future. You know, I suppose that there's a risk that, you know, when the next kind of political crisis takes hold, it may not be related to energy, and that level of interest may ebb away to a certain extent. But the savings that are kind of built in during that period will ensure that industry is more resilient and more protected and shielded from the next shock.
Now that's very interesting that you raised this point about the different, let's say, drivers, mentioning competitiveness, but at the same time, maybe I will come back to the French case on that to see what is your experience with that. For SMEs, we also know that it's quite difficult to prioritize their investment. They have obviously less investment capacities than larger companies. So they may face short-term challenges in their decision when energy prices are going up, because they need to pay their bill at the same time, and how to during that period, how to make it possible to still have the capacity to invest in reducing energy costs. So I don't know how did you see some effects of the very large changes in energy prices that we have seen in the recent years in the demand for the program? Or is it not so clear due to this dilemma between the need to act, but the difficulty to get the money at the same
time? Yeah, we for the current context is maybe a little bit early to have some clear conclusion. But for example, I talked about the ProRefei program, which is a training program about energy efficiency, which is included in the Industry Pact and which was present at before the program, and during the year 2022, 2023, when during the previous energy prices crisis, there were a lot of demand of companies to be trained on energy efficiency. So yes, I agree with you. It's a dilemma between we need to act, we need to do some things in order to reduce our energy consumptions and to be more competitive and to reduce the bill. But after we need to invest. So I think it's important for them to help them to identify some quick wins in this kind of context, to do what you can do in order to reduce quite easily your energy consumption, but it's also important to provide them some kind of answer in terms of structuration of decarbonization in order to have a short, mid, and long-term vision. And so we need also to help them in their investments. That's why we have some call of projects presented by Lucie in ADEME to help also companies, large companies, but also on decarbonization. So we try to give different answers to help them in terms of trainings, in terms of studies, in terms of investments. But yes, it's an important topic for them, and sometimes it's not the main priority for, especially for small and medium companies.
I'll just come in there as well. I'm really happy to hear you mention the quick wins, because I think it's really important for us as policymakers and program owners to be shining a light on the very no cost or low cost measures that can be implemented to save energy, to decrease costs, and highlighting those type of measures to companies, energy conservation, looking at leak repair and operational set points and things like that, that can reap immediate rewards that can then kind of give companies sort of confidence to go on to the next step, to pursue that kind of pathway towards effective energy management and decarbonisation. Ultimately, I think when they can start to really see the benefits and those savings materialise immediately, that can encourage them to keep moving along that path.
Thanks, Damnit. We are reaching the hour, so unfortunately I will have to close the discussion. I will give a final word to each of you. First, I thank all of you for the presentation and the very interesting discussion. Before everybody leaves, please answer the quick questions in the chat for the feedback survey. That's useful for us to improve what we do in this webinar is. It was also very nice to see the positive results you show from the two examples and to see that there are still quite significant savings potential from 30 to 50% if I remember correctly. So I think that's a very positive note. And to conclude, if each of you want to say something about one barrier to address and how it can be done through public policy, that would be marvelous. So I don't know who wants to start.
I don't mind jumping in, just since kind of the topic is around networks. I think companies, sharing their own experiences and being able to see these projects implemented across other sites are, incredibly powerful. The site visits that we run across the network are always enormously oversubscribed. Seeing it actually happen and talking to their peers about, the implications, the benefits, the drawbacks to doing the project is really strong and really powerful. Ourselves kind of taking the opportunity to highlight those really good case studies is one of the most important things that we can do, I think.
Thanks. I agree with that also. That's what we try also to do with this webinar. So not only at the level of companies, but also between agencies and policymakers to share good practices to improve policies. I don't know, Eleonore, if you want to say a final word from your side.
Thank you everyone for being here. So it was like a pleasure to share our French perspective on the industry sector. So, and thanks to my colleague Edouard Fourdrin and Lucie Bioret. So that's my last words. And thank you everyone.
And Lucie and Edouard, if you want to say some concluding remark as well.
Sure. Thank you to my fellow speakers. I will definitely add up on the going against the business as usual for companies with good practices and sharing positive experiences. And I think that's what Adam is trying to do with, having positive examples of companies who've done it, who went through the hassle of trying to switch in their energy sources or to change their processes, and to show that it can be done.
Oh, thanks, Lucie. And Edouard?
And just to conclude, maybe for me, the importance of the long-term vision for a company in terms of energy transition and decarbonization. It's important for a company to have a short, but also a mid-term and a long-term vision in order to be sure that the company will be ready for the future, will be present in the future. And I think, public policies are here to help them to develop this vision. So that's what the final word for me.
Thanks a lot to the four of you. I'm very happy that we can let the participant with let's say positive experience and looking forward to even further improvements in companies, but also in the public schemes. And we keep in touch, and I hope to meet you next month to continue the discussion with a focus this time on the data we get from energy audit and how we can make the best of it. So thanks a lot to all of you, and let's meet on the 27th of May. Have a good day.